Hey everyone, welcome back. It's day 2 of our 5-day late summer detox. This is such a special time of the year because this is the extra season that Chinese medicine offers us that we don't really recognize in Western medicine. And it's all about coming back to the center, Mother Earth, and the center of our bodies, which is our digestion. And so today we're going to talk a little bit about the stomach and spleen, which is kind of a TCM, traditional Chinese medicine viewpoint or way of talking about things, as well as a little bit of a Western medicine view of what happens in the stomach. So I like to say what happens in the stomach stays in the stomach. And so let's get there. So where does your digestion actually begin? Anybody want to venture a guess? The mouth. Actually, it begins before that. So our digestion begins actually when we begin to think about eating. So long before we're even cooking the meal, the fact that we're thinking about eating, our brain starts to send signals to our body that says, hey, get prepared, food might be coming. And then as we start chopping and cooking or anticipating, seeing, smelling, our brain says to the body, get ready, here it comes. And then the stomach and the juices begin to flow, the saliva begins to flow. And so we've already begun digesting before the food even enters our mouth, which is so cool because our body is geared up to receive. Just like Mother Earth must receive the bounty of the heavens in order to give life. And our body must receive the bounty that we have in terms of our food in order to convert it into energy, and to be able to do the things that we do efficiently. So then we bring it into our mouth. But remember, there's something special about digesting in the mouth. The mouth is the only part of our digestion that we have conscious control over. And it's a really, really important part of our digestion. And it's funny how we can bypass the magic that happens in the stomach when we gulp our food or we are talking so much that we forget what we're eating, or we're so preoccupied by trying to work and eat at the same time that we don't take time to chew, to savor, and to digest. The saliva contains enzymes that begin the digestive process. And not only that, but the saliva or the process in the mouth of chewing warms the food, pre-cooks it, you could say, warms it to more toward body temperature, breaks it down so that it is receivable in the stomach can receive it in a way that it makes it easy on the stomach. Chewing mindfully with our mouth is also one of the central tenets of mindfulness. If you have no other mindfulness practice but mindful eating, you will be amazed at the health benefits by just slowing down. The other thing to remember is that as the food begins to be swallowed, right, there's a tube called the esophagus. And at the bottom of that tube is a sphincter. It's like a gate. And that gate is shut until we eat some food, we swallow, and then the gate opens to allow the food to enter the stomach. That gate needs to be healthy and closed most of the time, and it needs to have a nice, tight closing so that as the food enters the stomach, there is no acid creeping back up the esophagus. The esophagus is a very alkaline space, and the stomach, as you know, is a very acidic environment. So it has special cells that allow it to contain this acid and do its job of breaking down food, especially proteins here. And if that sphincter or that gate is loose because of inflammation, because of stress, because of gulping down food, then that sphincter may not close all the way. And then little bits of acid start to splash up into the esophagus. And that is extremely painful. That's what we call esophageal reflux. It can cause heartburn. So that acid is really essential for breaking down proteins, but what happens in the stomach needs to stay in the stomach. We do not want that acid going back up. And then it's called the lower esophageal sphincter, LES, and that's at the bottom of the lower esophagus. That keeps the acid down. And then the pyloric sphincter is at the bottom of the stomach, and that controls when food gets to leave the stomach. So the point of all this is just this: heartburn doesn't mean that there is too much stomach acid. That is a misnomer. It usually means there's acid in the wrong place. There's very little evidence that we can ever have too much acid in the stomach. So when we take antacids that cool down that stomach acid, it can decrease that inflammation in there and allow that sphincter to heal. But over time, we don't want that stomach acid to be brought to a more alkaline environment, or it won't break down not only proteins, but minerals. A long-term use of antacids can lead to decalcification of the bones, because we're not absorbing our magnesium and calcium and other minerals. And so it can actually, one of the side effects of long-term use, it's on the insert, can be osteoporosis. So not something that we want to set ourselves up for. So if we need them for short-term use, of course, but not to be used long-term. So natural support for healthy digestion: chew thoroughly. Think of drinking your food, that it's chewed so well that it's in a semi-liquid pureed form before it's swallowed. Eating slowly and mindfully, making sure that you've set a beautiful table for yourself and that you've cooked beautiful food, healthy food. Warm cooked foods are just easier to digest. And then try to avoid eating too late or lying down, an hour or two, like too early, within an hour or two after eating. From the Chinese medicine standpoint, the spleen and stomach are the earth element and the late summer season. The stomach's job is to receive and break down food, just like in Western medicine. And we think of the spleen as the transformer of food into qi, or vital energy, and blood. And a strong digestive system, a strong spleen and stomach, from a TCM point of view, will be energetic, will have good digestion, and our brain will be clear. If our system is weak, we'll feel fatigue, bloated, maybe have brain fog. The emotion that can really get to our digestive system from a TCM point of view is worry and overthinking, because this distracts the spleen and weakens the digestion. Since the spleen and stomach are the mother element, or the earth element, it's about mother energy. And so the mother energy wants to nurture and nourish, but we all know, either we've been that mother, or we've had that mother, or we've seen that mother that worries and overthinks about everything that her kids might be doing or what she did wrong, and that actually gets in the way of her nourishing or nurturing her children, as well as nurturing or nourishing herself. So a calm mind leads to stronger digestion, which leads to a calm mind. So again, chew until liquid, eat at regular times when possible. Favor your warm, nourishing cooked foods, lightly cooked. Sit upright and just be present with your food. Avoid multitasking if you possibly can. And pause before your meal. Say grace, say gratitude, be grateful. Take a breath. Take a breath between bites if you can. And remember that stomach acid is your friend in the right place. Chewing is your superpower. And warm cooked foods nourish your earth element. Your mindset and your mindfulness matter here. So, your weekly practice, choose a meal a day to eat slowly, chew well, and just notice how you feel. All right. We'll see you next time.